So anyone watching in the future, hello. So as we're getting started, Amber, if you wanted to go ahead and just introduce yourself a little bit and talk a little bit about how you use uh, these different trading cards, what kinds of projects you use them for, and things like that. And then actually, just so everyone else is aware, I will be monitoring the chat. So if you have questions for Amber, definitely please let us know in the chat. And I will kind of take note of them. And Amber, at the end, I'll kind of read some of them out to you. And we'll do kind of a little Q&A kind of when we're done. All right. So Amber, if you want to go ahead and take it away, tell us a little bit about yourself and what we're going to be working on today.
All right, sounds great. Thank you guys for dropping in tonight to hang out during Idea O'Clock. I do want to apologize in advance. I usually am working from school, and so working from home sometimes is a fun challenge. I have two very obnoxious hound dogs, so if you happen to hear them talking, I apologize for that. They like to jump up on camera as well, so we're trying to keep them at bay tonight. So my name is Amber McCormick. On social media, I go by EdTech Amber. I am I guess, secret artist in my own opinion. I use that term very loosely because I need a lot of assistance from companies like Microsoft that makes this really cool pen that I can sketch with, and Buncee that allows me to be the graphic designer I always wanted to be. So tonight I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to share some ideas with you and kind of spark and invigorate some newness to your new semesters that are potentially just beginning. And the idea that I'm going to share with you can be used in so many capacities. One of the best things I think that Buncee did was create this trading card template, or the canvas. It's actually been one of my absolute favorites because a lot of times the kids are very intimidated by a large canvas. I know when I teach sketchnoting, I always encourage kids to start on a Post-it note because they're small and it's not as much space to fill up. So it's not quite as intimidating. And I always think back to authors that I hear that write their stories on napkins at first. So trading card, if you're not familiar with Buncee, is a really, really great place to start because it's a little bit smaller canvas to begin on. In my real life, I am a kindergarten through 5th grade global studies teacher. So my little heart is going pitter patter right now looking at this chat because I am seeing people from everywhere. And thank you so much for those of you that are joining me from Egypt where it's 2 a.m. Oh my goodness. So very, very cool. Big shout out for the diversity that Buncee encourages. Super excited to have you guys all here. I also teach middle school classes. So I am a 6th through 9th grade computer science teacher. And that's pretty much it. That's my life in a nutshell. So what I really want to jump into is how to actually get this started. If you happen to be able to hear me on one screen and play on another screen, that would be an ideal situation because I love playing and learning together. So if you guys can jump onto your Buncee account, that would be cool. I'm going to go ahead and try to share my screen here and see if it seamlessly moves for me. All right. Does it look like everybody can see me here? Can you guys see my Buncee account? Oh, I can't hear. Yes. Okay, great.
Yes.
All right.
Sorry, I see we see your screen.
Okay, great. And you can still hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I am going to show you a finished product first because I did kind of think through this before I was going to start. So this is kind of something that I created. And my mindset with this was we have a lot of students transitioning back from a virtual classroom that are getting ready to come into a face-to-face setting with some of their peers. And I was thinking, it's an interesting transition for our students because they've been having classes virtually where they could see each other on platforms like Teams, or they could see each other in Google Classrooms, or they could see each other on Zoom. However, they still may not know their classmates very well. So what a cool tool to be able to share with your students, to create this little virtual card as an all about me card as they're welcome back into the classroom for those that are coming back face to face. So this is my card that I introduce to my students. So all about me. I'm an 18-year veteran teacher. That makes me seem really old every time I say it. I'd like to think I'm younger than that. And I also, my students have a huge love for Pokemon. So I kind of blended some of the things that Pokemon does with some of the things that I see the kids using on their trading cards. I actually use this in my classroom quite frequently. We study different cultures around the world. And so one of the things that my students get as a collectible each quarter, whatever country we are studying, they get Pokemon cards from those countries. Now, they're obviously cards that I've created, and they are based on the animals that are found in that country. So when we did Brazil, our students got a sloth card, and it had endangered status on it. It had their health power, strengths and weaknesses, things like that. So we will be posting some of those on social media later so that you guys can see them. But just a little bit different twist on them. Let's bring our students into the situation and not just animals. So let's go ahead and get started building this guy. We're going to go into create a new Buncee. And when we're in create a new Buncee, I'm going to go, I've got template cards that are already kind of built for us, which is kind of cool. So you could start there. I am going to start from scratch, and I am going to resize my canvas. This is one of my favorite features, is that I can make something that is specific to my needs. So if I'm making a banner for my school social media page, or if I'm creating a letter, a business card, very cool. So I actually use this playing card template. I'm going to click on there, and you can use the orientation either way you want. Typically, cards are going to be portrait. So I'm going to apply my portrait. Yes, I am sure I'm going to change that. And then from here, this is where you are going to be able to select a template that might already be created. And Buncee is very awesome about having these amazing templates that you can choose from. So there's several things that have already been created out here that fall into the card category. So if you're looking for flashcards or tons of Valentine's Day cards with that holiday coming up, I've decided I'm going to just start from scratch. And one of the first things that I do is I'm going to change my background. When I do my cards, I tend to color code them for my students. So I might have the colors each mean something. So, you know, if you love reading the most, maybe I'll have all of my students do an orange card. Or if math is your favorite subject, maybe you'll have green cards. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a, let's see, purple background. And I'm going to apply it just to this page. So this is where I'm going to start. Now tonight, in honor of my dog, I'm actually going to make a card for my dog, since you've already seen mine. Hopefully we have some more dog lovers out there other than myself. And what we're going to do is we are going to pull in some of the components of those cards. So all of these are going to be the items that you're going to be able to add on. So you've got text and shapes and drawings. And this dashboard has grown so much since I've first learned how to use Buncee. And every time I see something new get added on, I smile a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab a shape. And I'm going to grab a square and add that square. Now, this square is almost perfect for what I need. I am going to resize it a little bit to make it more rectangular. So I'm going to pull that in. And you can also adjust. So if I don't necessarily want to have white, if I wanted to have like an off color, I could choose any of these colors to change. And then if you don't like the harshness of the black line, you could also click. Make sure that you have all of these red circles showing. And then you are also able to change your border color. So I like the border color, but I don't need it as dark as it is right now. So I'm going to change it down a little. I also love, this is something I really encourage my students to learn about, is opacity. If you've never played with this button, it is going to allow you to do some see-through items. This is really, really effective, especially when my students pick very busy backgrounds. So I'm going to give you an example of this really quick. One of the things that my students love to do, I'm going to go grab, let's see, a picture of grass. I'm going to come out here and find a picture of somewhere. There's some beautiful pictures in here if you haven't looked recently. I'm going to grab, let's see. Where is a place my dog would love to be? Probably running under this rainbow. Let's do this grass picture, and I'm going to apply it to here. So this grass, a lot of times I find my students will try to write right on top of it, and I want to show you what that looks like. So if my students write directly on top of here, and they start writing Birdie, Birdie is the name of my dog, and they bring it down here, I get a lot of work that looks like this. And my students don't quite understand that even if they change the color, even if they change the size and the font, the more effective way to do this would be to use something behind it. Now, I don't want to use this solid white thing because it takes away from the beauty of the picture that is behind it. So one of the things that I can do is I can add this layer as an opacity with almost maybe 50%. So I'm going to come change this down to about 50%. And now if I make this a little darker, it's a lot easier for my students to be able to see that and for me to be able to see their work on top of here. So that allows them to use those really, you know, vivid backgrounds and colorful backgrounds with lots of patterns and things, but it allows them to use it in a way that's a little bit easier for you as the teacher to read, and also whatever audience you're creating these for. Also, if you were doing something like this and you wanted to get rid of the background or your border, you could also change that out to make it a little less obvious. So I am going to go back to my purple background, though, because I think I want to keep it simple. So I'm going to grab my purple background. Oh. Okay, here we go. We're going to make this a little smaller, and we're going to go grab our picture of the birdie. So just so you're not confused, my dog is a dog, not a bird. We named her Birdie because she is in a golf family. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to upload a picture, and we're going to bring in a picture. There is Birdie for Buncee. All right, we're going to select and say yes. Oh, let me get rid of this. And we're going to upload. And it is taking a few moments here. Does anyone have any questions while I am waiting on this to load? Oh, there it is. All right. So I'm going to pull up my picture of Birdie, and she is going to be the star of this card. Don't be deceived. She's actually, she is very cute in person, but she is our bad girl Birdie. So what I'm going to do from here, I am going to add a few more elements to make this look more like a trading card. So I'm going to go grab a shape, and I'm going to use a circle. I'm going to try to make this look as close to a Pokemon card as possible. So I'm going to add my little circle up here in the corner, and she is a dog. So let's go find an icon that's going to remind me of a dog. So if I come out and search, one of the things I always teach my students is, for me, it's a lot faster to go straight to the search bar. So if I type in dog, I am going to get so many things that are going to pop up. So I'm going to pick one of these to represent dog. And I just need a little icon. Let's see. Oop, there's a hot dog. That's funny. All right, I'm going to grab this little dog bone, and I'm going to add that to this top corner, and I'm going to resize it so that it fits correctly. Maybe we'll turn it just a smidge. And then we are going to give her her name. So let's go ahead and add in this text box. I'm going to put it right up here where you guys can see it. And I am going to use her nickname, which is Bad Girl Birdie. She earned this name fair and square. She likes to jump over our 6-foot-tall fence in the backyard nightly. So she is quite the runner. We're going to make this a little bit bigger. And I think I definitely want to go get a different font to make it stand out a little more. So let's look for something bold, something that's going to stick out. I really like this impact just because it's easier to read. And I still think I need it a little bit larger. So I'm going to go here. If you happen to have it leak onto another line, you just extend your text box and voila, it fits perfectly. Now, I still see that I'm having a little bit of problems reading this dark purple against this black text. So one of the things that I really love to do, my students like to do this as well, we like to try to make text look three-dimensional. So you can use your copy and paste, or you can use your duplicate button and take that second text. I'm going to put it down here where you can see it and go change the color of that text. I'm going to highlight here, double click. Let's go change this text to a white just to see what those two look like on top of each other. And it's amazing adding that second white text on top of it. How you can kind of see the shadow behind it that makes it look a little three-dimensional. You can take it either direction, so you can have your shadow on the left, on the right. Just kind of play around with it until you're happy with it. So I am good with that being my title for my name here. And then the other thing, for those of you that have ever had Pokemon cards in your life, or kids that play with them in your classrooms all the time, you need to give it a health power. So I'm going to give Birdie a solid 200 HP, which is a pretty big thing because she is a strong dog, very strong-willed. So I'm going to put this right up here. I'm sure she could tackle and take on pretty much any dog in the neighborhood. She would bark until they until they listen to her. She is a barker. All right, so from here, the next thing that you're going to do, this bottom part is going to be where you can start putting in some information. So in your information, you're going to have a lot of text. So one of the things that I would highly recommend doing is bringing in another square or another rectangle. So I'm going to come in here and grab another one of these guys and add. And I'm going to put it right up against the edge here. And I'm going to fill this pretty much the entire bottom of the box. Now, I don't really like this black box around the outside because my picture of Birdie doesn't have it, so it doesn't flow very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this border and I'm going to change the border of that to the purple so that it almost looks like it is an invisible border. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that. And I think the opacity is looking pretty good right now. I don't need to make it lighter, but if you did decide later that you wanted to have a picture shine through the background, or if you liked the lighter purple showing through the white, you could change that at any time. Okay, so from here, one of the first things that you are going to do is you are going to add in some text. So we're going to add in some text that describes whatever the picture is here. So we're going to say Birdie is a 5-year-old rescue pup that has more energy than a classroom full of kindergartners on Valentine's Day. That sounds about right. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that as my text, just kind of my definition of whatever the picture is. And it's a little bit funny that I picked a sleepy picture of her since I said she has more energy than more energy than a class of kindergartners. Okay, so there is my information. And obviously you can make the text a little bit smaller if you have more things that you need to add. From here, one of the things that I really like to add are strengths and weaknesses. And then on my card, if we look back over here, my card also had a quote. So if you encourage your students to have like a motto or a mantra or something that they live by, my classroom, our mantra is be the change that you wish to see in the world, since we are a global studies school. So definitely would be something kind of cool that you could add on there. I also am going to add a banner. So if you looked at mine, I did have this banner across here that says Global Studies Teacher, because that's what I do. So I'm going to add a banner here right above. And let's just go look up banner and see what pops up. So there are all kinds of really cool things that you could use. There are different shapes and different colors and sizes. There's some that look like they're hand drawn. There's just some beautiful things that exist out here. So let's find one that works best for what we are using. And sometimes it just takes a little experimenting to find the right one that's going to work for you. I really do think I'm going to go with this yellow one again because I like it so much. I'm going to lay this right here, but I think I need to make it a tad larger. Oh. Larger would be the other way. So we're going to make it a tad larger. I'm going to pull this guy down, and I want to set that right on top of that purple line so that it blocks a lot of that exterior line. Okay, on here, I am going to put what type of dog Birdie is, and I'm going to use that kind of as her head description. So Birdie is a mystery to us. We have no idea what breed of dog she is. We adopted her, like I said, 5 years ago. And when we adopted her, we were not real sure what she was. She's one of those dogs that when everybody sees her, they think they know what breed she is, but nobody has any idea, including our vet. So ironically, we currently have a DNA test out on our dog. We will be figuring out what breed she is anytime in the next couple of days. So if you follow me on Twitter, we'll probably be sharing what she is. And I'm afraid she's going to come back and be part mountain goat or something because she does like to climb trees in our backyard. So I did put my title on there. I do have my description. And so the next thing that we're going to add is going to be your strengths. So we're going to go ahead and add strengths. One of the things that I really like to do is I like to use icons. So since I am a sketchnoter, I use sketchnotes in my classroom very frequently. So this is something that my students are familiar with. I like to use these icons because, number one, they're visually pleasing to the eye. But secondly, they are very symbolic for students to recognize. So even if I did not have the word strengths here, I could have a picture that represents strengths. I could pick a picture that represents weaknesses. So I am, and you can change those words, obviously. Some people don't like the word weakness. If you saw, by the way, my weaknesses are Diet Coke, saying no, and puppy dog eyes. So I've got some very, very strong weaknesses in my life. Strengths, perseverance, creativity, and dedication. So let's go ahead and get these over here. I'm going to pick a strength for Birdie. There we go. Let's go look up strong and see what we find. All right, so these were some of the words that popped up when I saw strong. So I can keep looking. Let's do strength, maybe weights. I sometimes think about lifting up strength. So this might be kind of a cool one to use, like these little people working out. Let's use this little muscle guy. I'm going to add him in there. Oh, yeah, and it's a sticker, which is the best. So let's go ahead and add in strengths. I am going to give it a little title. So I'm going to grab my text. I am going to type in strengths. I hope somebody calls me out if I have a spelling error. I am going to put that right there. I think it needs to be a tad smaller because we do have two other things to put in here yet. So I'm going to do my strengths. And keep in mind, I'm just doing this one to be silly tonight. This is my, it's obviously about my dog. There are so many ways that you could apply this in your classroom. Think about books that you're reading. You could have the students create them for characters that are in their books that they're reading. They could use them for settings. So, you know, where a book takes place, they could do a setting. They could do, you know, the villains or the protagonist or the people who are working against them. There's just so many things that you could do. I was thinking this morning about science teachers. If you're a science teacher, think about how cool it would be to make a Pokemon type card for the periodic table and the elements. That would be a pretty cool game that you could create. It's really funny. My kids actually battle the animal cards using the HP. And then they also use, if you look over here, the stars that I give, they use those as the weaknesses and they use them to subtract points and they actually battle the cards that I give them. So it's always really cute when parents are like, oh, my kids are at home playing with your Pokemon cards. And I love it because I feel like they're learning something in addition to enjoying something that they already do in their life. So I'm going to go ahead and add this. I'm going to add my strengths and I don't need it bold. So I'm just going to do, let's see, Birdie's strengths are cuddling. Just lost it. And we're going to make this a little bigger because I have 3 things that I am going to add here. So, and I think I'm going to do different text boxes just in case I need to move them around later. Oh, there she is. I hope you heard her jumping the fence. And my last one is going to be, sorry about her. Let's see, cuddling, jumping fence, and what else is she? Lovable. All right, so those are going to be my strengths that I'm going to use for Birdie. And I think for this one, I'm actually going to put this a little bit further over here because I've got a little bit longer one there. One of the things that I like to talk to my students about is how to balance their text. So I'm really big into the design component, especially with my middle school students. I do teach a digital design class. So this is something that I love for them to be able to look at something visually and make it pleasing to people. So one of the things that I would encourage if this was my student, I would encourage them to change the text size on this one just to bring it down a tad. Yes, I know it's a different size, but it's going to fit within the parameters of that area a little bit better. Okay, so let's go ahead and add our second category here. And oh, this one's going to be interesting. These will be her, we're going to call them downfalls. All right, so. All right, here we go. And I'm going to go ahead and add in these. Let's see, her downfalls are stealing blankets. I'm going to make that a little bigger. If there is a blanket in our house, Birdie is the owner of that blanket. Her other downfall is jumping the fence. No, not really. Her other downfall is jumping on people, I guess. Jumping up. And I think I'm going to stop with that because she's a pretty awesome dog. Now, I do need another icon that's going to go up here with my downfalls. So I'm thinking about something. Let's see if there is actually anything for downfall. So when I think of downfall, I think of weak, and I don't see anything there. So maybe we'll just make this one. Oh, let's see if I can find list. Yes, this is perfect. So I'm thinking, and this is something where I use icons that it may be different for everybody else. So I'm going to pick this little, let's see, what is this? Record all charges or changes that affect your account. I'm going to use this little to-do list. And I know that may seem silly to some of you, but these are things that Birdie needs to do to work on. So she needs to work on these skills for herself. So I'm going to go ahead and add those. We need to work on stealing all of the blankets in the house. She will drag them from room to room. And then we also need to work on jumping up on the table. All right. And then from here, in the one that I made for my students, you will see that I had a quote. So I am a very big, I use a lot of quotes in my classroom because I think there's a lot of things that people have already experienced in the world that our students can learn from. So if you had a quote, you could go ahead and put that there. Birdie has a fantastic quote, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that here. And I am going to look for a bubble. So there's so many that are out here that you can use. There's all kinds of animated ones. You could also look up speech bubble and probably find the same thing. But I am going to grab, let's see which one. I really like this orange one. So I'm going to go ahead and add that down here to the corner. And I'm going to make it just a little bit. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and add that right there. And I can put text right inside of it. So good thing this quote is very short because I don't have a lot of space in that box. All right. Directly from Birdie's mouth right there. Woof, woof. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and add that there. Now, this pretty much does wrap up what a card would look like. There are other things that you could add to your card. For example, if you looked at mine, I added like the 5 stars across it. You can, you can put in different things that would be meaningful to your classroom. So like I said, you could change the background to be different groups of kids or things that they like so that it's almost like a secret code with your class. So, when they hand them to each other or you put them on a Buncee board to share, if you happen to see somebody who also has a purple background, you know that they love learning different languages, or if they have yellow that they love to do math. So just kind of a cool ways to do that. When I do my animal Pokemon cards, in my global studies classroom, one of the things that I do is I code them by land animals, sea animals, or water animals, and then sky animals. So I will have purple for our mountain or land animals. And then I usually do a little icon. So like over in the corner, I will typically do like a little habitat. So I'll go grab like a picture of a forest, or I'll grab a picture of a mountain to show where those animals live. So when you look at mine, this is something that represents me as a global studies teacher. And then I put, this is my school logo. So I thought it was appropriate to put that there. There's my HP, like you saw already. This describes the person in the picture. And then these would be my stars that the kids could battle with if they were playing with the cards. So with that, I am going to jump back over here to the camera, and I'm going to stop sharing. And I see a bunch of messages have popped up. Do we have any questions? Pokemon for the win. Woohoo!
That was amazing, Amber. Thank you so much for sharing all of that and sharing your process of how you go about creating. I think that was really cool to see. I do know I was kind of looking at the chat and going through, and I did see a couple questions and a couple things that some people reached out with the Q&A as well.
Okay.
So I wonder actually if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen again.
Yeah, of course.
We just had someone ask about the canvas sizes. If you could go over how you choose a canvas size and how to do that maybe, and
yeah, definitely
taking a look at some of the other canvas sizes, and if you wanted to maybe share like what you think you might do with some of those other ones as well.
Of course, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in here and just create a new one. So if I'm starting from scratch again, your canvas sizes. So a typical Buncee is 16:9 ratio, aspect ratio. So if you came in and looked at that, It's going to be really fantastic for things like, and they give examples here, which really helps you out. I love this. So they're really great for using in presentations. So a lot of times if I'm creating inside of, like a lot of my distance learning lesson plans this year, I have created inside of Buncee, and then I have app smashed with Apple Clips, so that I could voice record over the top and then upload up to YouTube so that my kids are able to watch a video with instructions. So this is a fantastic way for teachers to create presentations and have like beautiful layouts and things like that. Lesson creation, yeah, that's there. Assignments that you give to your students. So if you want them to do, we've done digital ABC books in here. My students have done some amazing work with those. They give an example, invitations, cards, things like that. This is kind of cool too, that it now shows the best places or their best shared, what platforms this Canvas size works best with. If you look at Square, every time I think of a square, I think of Instagram posts. I also think of logos. So if you're having your students work on logo design, or you're creating a logo, or if you're creating just something that needs a smaller canvas to work on, I always kind of think of this like a Post-it note again. This is a good square size. You could do your cards on this size, but I feel like it's not really as much of a card looking. Because it does have a symmetrical shape as opposed to the rectangle. Banners. Banners are fantastic. When this option came up, I literally did like invisible cartwheels because I can't do a cartwheel. I was super excited about this because I had never had the ability to make my own Twitter header. So it's very cool for me to be able to take something that I had created, like I did a sketch note and I smashed it into here. Uploaded, and it was so cool to be able to make it fit perfectly with the aspect ratio that they needed for Twitter. Also Facebook header. So for those of you that have a Facebook page or a Twitter page that you use for your school or you use for your classroom specifically, this is so cool. Have the kids create maybe a weekly header or create like a monthly header, or just even like holidays that are coming up. Really great way to use this. Best use obviously on Twitter and Facebook. Letter, this one's going to be pretty standard. This is like anything that you use like on regular sheets of paper. So again, here it explains flyers, worksheets, assignments. I've had my kids create menus for my digital design class. So, create a menu. They had to come up with a restaurant and make a menu for it. They had to import pictures of food that they had used. They had to, name everything, use different sizes of font, make it very easy and, pleasing to the eye. This is actually one of my favorite ones, business cards. So one of the very first things that I created in Buncee eons ago was a business card. And this one is really cool. So this one you can actually easily go get them printed. I remember my first year at ISTE, I had Buncee business cards. So I created them on here, printed them out, and I was handing them out like hotcakes at ISTE. So very cool that you can take your canvas size, shrink it down a little and make these really cool little pocket size little cards. The other thing I was thinking about business cards recently would be, I feel like this is a year that's been really hard for a lot of teachers. And what a great way to just have little pocket size encouragement cards. So, there's so many cool things in Buncee, like the little quotes, and there's lots of encouraging like little stickers and things that you could use. So create some of those and, drop them on desks of students that, that need them, or put them inside their book so that when they're reading, there's a little note that they get from you, or drop them in the mailbox of, a teacher that you see that, might be having a little bit of a tough year. There's just so many cool things that you could do with this. And it's something that's small enough that it's not going to, take you a ton of ink to print them out. But just kind of a really beautiful little gesture too. Playing cards are the ones that we just went over. And then you can also customize and change the size of your, the size of your canvas on your own. So if you were going to do something larger scale, let's say you were going to, try to make like a poster, or you're going to try to make, like a legal size piece of paper, which is 11 by 14, you could do that here. And then they also did recommend the Wakelet cover image, and their profile header is a little bit larger than the other social media platforms. And so here is the information that you would need to do that. So I guess those are some ways that you can use the canvas resize. And again, that was just something that, like, when that happened, I fell in love with Buncee all over again.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. So yes,
Yeah,
if anyone
definitely.
has any other questions, I don't see anything in the chat at the moment. The last question I had wanted to ask was, so you talked a little bit about your the response that your students have had. What's the response? You know, what have you you know, as far as just kind of adding on to that, when they're creating buncees or when you're sharing buncees that you've made with them, what kind of has been their response? How have you seen them you know, respond to that and just kind of grow in their own buncee journeys as well?
I think one of the best things that I have come across from Buncee is I think it really unlocks some creativity in a lot of students. Like I said before, sometimes when they're just given a blank canvas, let's say that they're given, like, you know, a Google sheet or a Google slide, or they're given a, you know, it doesn't matter what platform, Microsoft PowerPoint or whatever. I feel like they're kind of stuck, and they don't know where to go to look. They don't know where to go to start. And I feel like the Buncee platform has made it so user friendly. And even for my younger kids who are not fantastic readers or writers or spellers, it's just so easy for them to go out, and they love the animated stickers. That's been a huge part of it. I know when they first introduced some of the stickers, we had to put the kibosh on the dab, because every single Buncee had a dab on it, which was kind of fun at first. But it was a little bit comical. I'd be reading something about like a really sad topic, and at the end they're like, and dab. So the animated stickers, I do love that Buncee is very current. It is not a platform that is stagnant. I don't feel like, you know, I don't feel like I could go away months at a time and come back and be like, okay, nothing has changed. I feel like every day that I log in, I'm like, oh, look, there's something new in the trending, or, you know, there's Ida's gone on a trip and she's taken these beautiful pictures and added them up here. So, you know, there's just so much talent too. The Buncee educator community is definitely one that is more like a family. So in terms of, from an educator perspective, I appreciate that, because there's so many great ideas. Like, I'll hear somebody shared with me a really awesome card game the other day that I was like, I honestly had never thought of doing that. I always use them as trading cards. So to see it actually as a playable game, like, that was super cool. So there's just, you know, like, such an amazing community. And my kids, I think that it's their chance to find a voice. I've had many students excel at this. There was a blog that I wrote earlier for Buncee. It's been a couple of years now, but I had an autistic student that just absolutely, like, latched on to Buncee, and it was his platform. And he wanted to teach all the teachers about Buncee because it was so wonderful and fantastic. And, you know, it's amazing that a kid who didn't have much of a voice in the classroom, what Buncee was able to do for him. So I see that out of a lot of my students. We have a huge ESOL population. We have probably 25 languages that are spoken at our school overall. You know, we have a couple of really main ones that most people speak, but, you know, it's fantastic that the kids are able to, you know, tell their story using their language and using their skills. I love the fact that you can record their voice, so they literally can have their voice in their story. Just a fantastic tool overall, very kid friendly.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amber. And thank you for being here with us today and for creating with us and walking us through your whole process. I think I learned a lot of cool tips and tricks. I hope everyone watching did too. So I wanted to share my screen really briefly. I was really glad, Amber, that you talked about the different canvas sizes, because that's going to play heavily into our next session. Our next session that we have coming up, the next time it will be Idea O'Clock, is we have Deborah Zeman featuring, and she's going to show us all about how to create Buncee bookmarks. So one of the ways that you can use those different canvas sizes, like the banner size, when you use it in portrait mode, or really in landscape mode as well, if you wanted to, you can create these fun Buncee bookmarks. So definitely please join us next time for Idea O'Clock. And thank you everyone for joining this evening. And I hope to see you next time. So thank you everyone, and have a great rest of your evening or rest of your day. Thanks
It's
everyone.
2 a.m.
Yes, I know. There's so many, it's really amazing to see everyone join in from all these different times.
No, I was like, I want to be in some of these places.
Me too. Me too.
I was like, I want to go to Tunisia and I want to go to Greece. Look at all these awesome people.
I know. It's really amazing to see everyone join in. So thank you everyone so much again. And I hope to see you next time. So take care, everybody. Bye.